This gospel story is very well known to all of us. It tells the story of the two disciples that were going to a close by village called Emmaus. And on their way, they were talking about all the bad news. Even when a stranger joined them, they continued to talk about all the bad news that had taken place and greatly impacted them. You see, people back then weren't so different from us when looking from an emotional, spiritual, and psychological point of view. These two disciples carried a heavy burden with them. Their beloved teacher, their master, was tortured and crucified. The disciples were grieving deeply, and they needed somehow to cope with this incredible trauma. What could have been better for them than to process these events and share their burden and pain with each other by telling the story? The truth is that all of us have a story to tell, even more so during a time of crisis. Sometimes, though, instead of working through our pains, we force ourselves to look to the other side and try to move on. And some of us try to cope in creating more workload, keeping ourselves busy so that our mind would not have the time to wander off and remind us of our pains and sufferings. But this strategy of coping with traumas is only a temporary solution, and it truly doesn't work. The disciples on their way to Emmaus are a good example for us, reminding us that we all need to find coping strategies to process such events, especially our anxieties, our fears, losses of loved ones, the partial loss of freedom, the loss of human touch, and all other traumas created by this COVID-19 pandemic. Back to the story. When the evening was upon them, the disciples took shelter and invited the stranger to stay with them. And it was at supper when these strangers said the prayer the disciples knew so well, and then broke bread with them. And it was in that moment that Jesus opened their eyes. You see, the disciples were so deeply occupied with their own grief and pain that they didn't even notice that Jesus was with them all the way. Beloved, we sometimes might feel that we are alone in this COVID-19 journey. An unknown situation, a scary time where no one truly knows what's next. And as we feel that we are alone in the midst of the darkness, this negativity, when we feel this way, we often are blinded by our situation. Hence, our eyes can't see beyond our own sorrows. And that is what Jesus did to his disciples. He opened their eyes to see. He opened their eyes not to disregard their sorrow and pain, but to give them hope. Let me say this to you, my sisters and brothers. You are not alone in this pandemic. We all are with you. We all are part of a larger family. We are the church. We take care of each other, not only in a crisis, but always. And beloved, when your mind makes you think that you are alone, think again. As you are part of the church, you are sons and daughters of God. You are the chosen people of God. And then you take a moment and deeply listen to your heart. You know that you never were alone. Because just like with the two disciples on the journey of Emmaus, whatever we go through, whatever we face, Jesus Christ is with us. He always was. He always will be, now and forever. Amen.